On June 13, 2021, Valaria Vivanco was on her night duty, participating in street patrols and vehicle checks. Usually, this was not her duty, but, unfortunately, she was looking for a suspect who had escaped and hid by doing a criminal. Valaria tragically lost her life while on duty. That single fatal shot came from the service weapon in the hands of one of the girl's colleagues. This was confirmed by a ballistics examination conducted that same day. The forensic reports were accidentally or intentionally confused. That is, the bullet did not enter through the abdomen and exit through the back, but quite the opposite. The shot was fired at her back. Who was Valaria Vivanco? What happened to her? Who killed her? Who was the culprit? This is your partner in crime stories. Subscribe and let's move along this mysterious journey ahead. Valaria Vivanco was born on May 29, 1996, in the small commune of Langranja, near the capital city of Santiago, Chile. She was the youngest of 3 children in her family and shared a close bond with her brother and sister, having been raised alongside them. Valaria's father worked in the transportation sector, handling the movement of passengers and goods, while her mother dedicated herself to being a homemaker and raising their 3 children. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of her parents, Valaria and her siblings enjoyed a comfortable upbringing during their childhood. As Valaria began her schooling, she faced a shocking development. Her parents decided to separate. Her father initiated the divorce proceedings, and they parted ways. Despite this disruption, Valaria's mother remained home in support of her children. She chose to raise them single-handedly, demonstrating her resilience and strength as a responsible woman. With some unusual incidents faced in her childhood, Valaria was a character full of determination. She was also incredibly preserved in all her passions. She excelled in school and engaged in sports. She was courageous and just a simple girl. She always represented others and was a young girl who helped anyone she met in her life when necessary. She had, never mind, even thought about how risk affected her life. She was a character who was raised against the truth and justice, which led her to pursue a career in the police force. Soon after she finished her high school successfully, she enrolled in the police academy in Santiago. She graduated with honors. Then she became an investigator and also received a diploma when she was 20 years old in 2016. Same on the following year, she joined the Chilean police force. She was assigned to the investigation bureau where she had to investigate some serious crime cases. While she had diligently worked on her job, she had loved working in the law enforcement sector very consistently. She always promised to stand for justice. Because of that, she was a true fighter for spreading justice in the whole capital, in the city, and in the whole country. She even had to risk her life at countless midnights to perform her service for the city. Sometimes, she even had to act as a psychologist to provide advice for lost loved ones at a serious crime scene. According to her colleagues, Vivanco was kind, cheerful, and friendly. Other than that, she was a true professional. Due to that, she has received numerous accolades, awards, and actively advanced experiences in her 5.5 years of service. Once she also had to represent her department in Spain, so for a while she had to live for about 2 weeks in Madrid. Due to her career, she was very proud of herself. In 2020, she was promoted to assistant inspector. In 2020, a colleague passed out of the police academy as a fresher. A 21-year-old young boy named Lionel Alejandro Contreras Canales came into the station in which Valaria was working. Valaria had to act as his mentor because it was his first job. A few months ago, they became partners, which meant loved each other from their heart bottoms. They too were spending their professional and personal life pretty well. Lionel was a boy from a high-ranking family. At first, he had asked out several times from Valaria and she rejected him many times, but he had never stopped asking out from her. Finally, he was successful. His unleashing attention grabbed Valaria. She was the major reason for the base of their relationship. However, in their workplace, relationships within the organization were strictly prohibited and were identified as inappropriate, especially For young co-workers, Lionel was 3 years younger than Valaria. She did not care about the childish behavior of him, but had tried to make him mature by loving him. One day, Valaria and her young lover went to apprehend some robbers who had stolen money from a store's cash register. At that time, the criminals had not left that area and were thereby initiating weapons, and at that time they initiated a shootout. Both were fatally engaged by Lionel. Without that, they could have enough room to avoid such an incident. Lionel's actions were not deemed excessive for apprehending the individuals. However, this incident strained the relationship between Lionel and Valaria. On May 29, 2021, Valaria marked her 25th birthday with a celebration at her mother's home. The event was attended by numerous guests, including relatives, friends, and colleagues from work. However, noticeably absent was her somewhat youthful ex-boyfriend, who had not been invited. Valaria had contemplated excluding him from the guest list to avoid any potential awkwardness, especially considering that he occasionally attempted to contact her despite their breakup. During her birthday celebration, she received various gifts and congratulatory messages from the guests. She was smiling too on that day, but she was smiling in pain. What was the reason for that? She hoped that her father, whom she had not talked to for several years, would attend her 25th birthday party. But he wouldn't. But he had sent only a congratulatory message, not even by calling and talking to her. Because of that, she was very upset. Valaria's mother noticed that her daughter was smiling beside the sadness, and also knew what the reason behind that was. Unfortunately, the father and daughter never got the chance to talk again. 2 weeks later, Valaria tragically lost her life while on duty. On June 13, 2021, Valaria was on her night duty participating in street patrols and vehicle checks. Usually, this was not her duty, but unfortunately, she was looking for a suspect who had escaped and hid by doing a criminal search for suspects related to the crime against a young woman who had occurred the previous day in a suburb of the capital. There was an alert for a white Kia Chato believed to be driven by a suspected criminal. The suspects likely had a weapon and might not have been alone in the car. Valaria was in a patrol car with her partner Lionel, driven by Deputy Commissioner. They spotted the suspect's vehicle and initiated a pursuit without waiting for backup. The officers managed to intercept and block the suspect's escape. Candles and Vivanco exited their vehicle with weapons drawn and called for the offenders to surrender and exit their cars with their hands up. At that moment, a single shot rang out, and as everyone tried to understand who fired and where, Valaria, clutching her side, fell to the asphalt next to the police car. Reinforcements arrived just then, so her colleagues heard the shot and saw that she was wounded but couldn't fully grasp what had happened and who had fired. The criminals, seizing the moment of confusion, accelerated and fled the scene while the injured officer was being administered first aid. Despite the rapid arrival of medics and her colleagues' efforts to stem the bleeding, Valaria could not be saved. She was rushed to the nearest hospital where top specialists fought for her life for several hours. However, due to severe blood loss and damage to vital organs, she passed away on the operating table without regaining consciousness. When her family was informed, her parents, brothers, and sisters were immediately rushed to the hospital. About a month and a half after the officer's death, the case took an unexpected turn. By the end of July, 2 employees were suspended from their duties, allegedly involved in the incident leading to Valaria's death. On August 1st, the deceased girl's parents were called to the capital's prosecutor's office for a meeting on an important matter. The parents thought that new evidence had emerged in their daughter's case and that the detainees awaiting their final sentence would finally receive deserved punishment. That single fatal shot came from the service weapon in the hands of one of the girl's colleagues. This was confirmed by a ballistics examination conducted that same day. The forensic reports were accidentally or intentionally confused. That is, the bullet did not enter through the abdomen and exit through the back, but quite the opposite. The shot was fired at her back. There were only 2 prime suspects in this case, One was the driver who was in her car, and the other one was her ex-boyfriend, Lionel. Both of them were suspended from their job. Subsequently, a document emerged with the results of the examination proving that only Lionel had gunshot residue on his hands, making him the prime suspect. Lionel had some reasons for killing her ex-girlfriend because she even had not invited him to her birthday celebration, ignored him almost all the time, and did not like him overall. Did he do it? Yes, the shot in the back was his revenge for the rejection. What do you think about this case? Stay tuned. We'll catch you with a new nail-biting crime thriller tomorrow.